record
And I'm
that.
going to start the purge of the podcast questions channel soon.
Yeah, please do that. So, welcome all of you. This is our bonus episode where we're going to be making some polls on the Sherlotta. And we're also going to be
And Dead
talking.
Mino is joining us
Oh,
too, it
hey,
seems.
Mino
Yeah,
comes back
I'm
from the
here for the
dead.
real show.
The real show. He
I'm
just wants to
here.
talk about JP. So I should be on stream, and I'm going to be making some polls. Episode 75.8. I am 100% going to name this episode
Oh, Mark, are
episode
we going to do a poll
78.8.
battle?
Oh, you want to do a poll battle? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so are we gonna? I've got 20 tickets from the stream. That's all I
Okay.
got for this
Woo.
band.
Okay. Mino, have you already polled?
Oh yeah, I need help. I got it in I have 260 G tokens. What do I do with that? Do I just let that 60 go to waste?
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Why do you have 260 G tokens? Oh, because you.
That's
yeah,
what it took.
It's 300. It's 300.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, let us know how your first poll goes.
So you should be able to see it on stream. So my first poll. Let me know.
I just did my first poll. I got a Sherlotta 35 and a Seymour 15.
Nice. So first poll for me is I haven't been counting. I just hit this 4-star, 5-star. I got a Rydia 35. So not great. So second poll. Let me count these.
Second poll.
Second poll. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on bronze. 5, 6, 7. This is great. 8, 9. Oh, Jesus. Beer me strength. 10 silver. And my bonus is a off-banner Shantoto 15 CP.
That's what you get.
Looks like I win this. I got on my second poll a Seymour 35 and Sherlotta EX.
Oh, and I can't do anything because my inventory is full.
I have a Seymour 15 CP. I pulled off a ticket. Yay! I'm gonna sell that for a power stone.
I need that.
I need to figure out how many power stones I have.
I have 14, so not many. Oh, goodness. Okay, so we're selling things. Yeah, I don't know why I have so much inventory space. So pull number 3 for me. Oh, because I'm doing it on air. It's gonna be pity. 1, 2 bronze, 3 bronze, 4 armor, 5, 6, 7. I got 3 X's in Japan. 8 silver.
I think
9,
I mentioned this would curse you.
2 Rydia 35. Rydia 35. I didn't have Rydia's 35, so that's something. That doesn't help me.
It's almost MLB now.
It doesn't help me because I need power stones and I need all of Sherlotta's gear. This is 4. We're on bronze. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, geez. 8, 9 is silver. 10 is silver. Oh, man. 11 is Seymour 35. Also don't have that. Yep, it's a great banner for me.
All right, guys. Mark just has to pull more than 13 pulls, and I win. That's all it takes.
I think this is pull number 5. 1 bronze, 2 bronze, 3 bronze.
Mark and I are at war. Crease doesn't count. He's like
bronze, 6
no
bronze,
resources and a
7
million EX.
7 silver.
I have a almost 2
8
pities
silver.
worth of gems right now.
9 silver. 10 silver. Oh, these are terrible pulls. Sherlotta. Oh, is that the EX? Yeah, that is the EX.
That is the EX.
I was
So,
at
5
least lucky here
pulls.
today. Fuck. 13 pulls for me.
I don't have the power stones to MLB all of her stuff, Mino.
You don't have her 35 CP either.
I don't have her 35 CP. Well, I can weapon
You
token
should
it.
just pull more. How many weapon tokens do you have?
I'd say you should pull some more. Honestly.
Yeah,
if you
people
don't
said
have
you should do
and
the
you're live
15, full 15
hours
pulls
in.
for the stream.
I should do the
Yeah.
full 15 pulls. I have 76. I have 76 weapon tokens, power tokens.
Yeah, go for it. Full 15. You need the power stones and the duplicates anyway.
I will do.
Oh,
I will
my
do.
tickets did give me one more gold. It was a Sherlotta 15, and I now have Sherlotta in my roster. Yay!
They said you should at least get another 100 for the Power Stone
I
award.
will do 50,000 on this banner. I was planning to anyway. If I didn't have to do
Sucker.
70,000. So I will. Oh no, I can't because I have to sell things.
Hey, can you
Hey.
just buy some inventory space? Like, what are you doing over
I
there?
have 700 inventory space. What do you mean?
You just
buy
keep all your
inventory space?
grays, your silvers and bronzes?
I don't think so. I just have a lot of stuff, man.
No, let's scroll all the way down. You have all your silvers and bronzes.
No, I don't. Not all of them. I've sold quite a few of them.
This is impossible. There's no way you have this much crap. Like,
Listen. So if I scroll down on my list here, those are all EXs.
yeah, look at your armor
So
slot. Let's take a look.
35, 30. Oh yeah, armor slots. Yeah. Oh yeah, I probably haven't sold my armor in a while. Oh yeah, that's right. I forget it's the
Oh
same
my
thing.
God. Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, what's wrong with my armor? Let me sell some armor. Yeah, so hey, what do you guys think about JP? Burst and limited weapons. Mino, you've been doing a lot of research, right?
I'm sick. Ask Crease.
So if you don't know, if you're listening to us and you're not aware of what happened in Japan, they had a fascinatingly terrifying stream, which is their YouTube video that announces the new things that are happening. Completely different format than ours, and thank you, Glacy and Joshua, for doing ours so well. Not that this wasn't high quality, it was just kind of creepy to me. But what they announced was 2 new types of weapons: the limited weapons and burst weapons. Limited weapons are a little more powerful than a base EX, less powerful than a fully realized EX or EX plus. They give you an additional ability for the character that is introducing them, Squall. He gets a new power, which is kind of an EX quality power, and it is Rough Divide, and it's awesome. And I think he at most gets 3 uses of it when it's fully limit broke. When it's fully limit broke, it costs 0 CP to equip the passive. So this is a weapon that you equip the passive for and then sell it, I guess. It does not take anything to do except power stones or dupes to limit break it. So it does not require the ingots or the books to do anything with that. Then there is burst weapons, and a burst weapon is the most powerful stat-wise weapon that we have. You do not need to limit break it at all. It comes as is, but you do need to use XP on it. And I believe it can get up to level 50, so it is the most powerful weapon that we have. And it allows a character, and you can only use 1 burst per battle, basically, per game. So even if you have 3 characters with burst weapons, only one of them can use their burst. It basically gives you a free summon. And so if you use Squall's burst, it gives him 6 turns. It gives him basically renewed actions or free actions. So he basically gets a skill 1 and a skill 2 used for free. And then, his normal other attacks, or they might be different attacks. You can correct me on that if I am wrong. And then he gets basically a finishing move. So you basically go into this trance mode or this powerful burst mode. You get and it's just consecutive turns, 6 consecutive turns, and it ends with this big finishing move. Does a ton of damage. Pretty cool. They are only going to be for protagonists and villains. So they're not going to be for everyone. You're not going to see, at least to this point, EX weapons for random characters or or burst weapons for new characters and random characters. You're going to see them for the protagonists, so the characters in the EX shop, and the corresponding game villains. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that around as well. So sell your armor, kids. I think that's the lesson. So, yeah.
Based on what I've seen with Squall, and this might be jumping the gun a little bit. It sounds like the limited weapons are going to be where reworks are based from now on, because not only is it the additional ability that the limited weapon gives Squall, it also gives them a Brave plus plus, an HP plus plus, and also stat increases just from the passives from it. So it is the real rework that was starting to get baked into EX plus weapons at the end of the Japanese EX plus era, with burst weapons being this new power creep that will slowly edge in over time. That's my take from it. It also sounds like right now burst is a luxury, not necessary at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a nice luxury for sure. I did create a JP account because I love Squall and I wanted to play around with his new weapons, and I just started, but I did get his limited weapon. I have not got his burst yet, so get a little bit more information. So I got two more pulls. I did get one of each of Sherlotta's weapons, so now I have her set. I'll go up to the 50,000 because of my horrible lack of
one thing I
power
want to say
stones.
about burst is I don't think they intend for you to get every burst weapon. So I
Right.
would be looking at maybe my top 5 or so favorite villains and protagonists and be planning very hard on how to get those characters. For me, that's going to be Furion and Ramza and Zidane. So that's what I'm going to be trying for.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ramses will
definitely,
be
because you can
interesting,
only
huh?
use one burst action per combat.
Yeah, Ramsa will be an interesting. Oh, hey, off banner. That's yeah, Yang, off banner Yang. Who doesn't love
But
an off banner
um
Yang?
but my other thing is too, like, even if you can't use but one burst, you want to make sure you have your favorites because they get better stats on the burst weapon too, which matters for some characters who are based around max brave and attack for battery or just to use their skills in general.
So Zyros brings up a good point, and it's very true. The burst weapons are going to be across multiple banners. So currently in Japan, there are two banners where Squall's burst is featured. Both of those banners have Squall's burst and is limited. Only one has his EX. So I have done. Let me do this now. So I have done 50. I have done 50,000 gems on Sherlotta. I have 200 G tokens. I have her full kit. Only one EX weapon. I hate that. I have to press that button. So I'm going to get a couple power stones. Hooray. But yeah, so currently there are two banners with his burst and his limited, but the next couple banners will also have his burst. At least the next one, maybe two. So his burst,
Next one, three
yeah,
total, 3 banners over
yeah,
2 weeks, and they said every 2 weeks it'll be a different burst up for every banner in that 2 week
yeah.
slot.
So you're looking at two different burst weapons a month, but over the course of several banners. So if you want that burst on a different banner, because the rates of the burst, we didn't talk about that. The rates of EX weapons have increased. The oh. Yeah, that's a good point, Quetz. Whatever. I'm not going 75,000. Don't talk like that. The uh, the rates of EX have increased, so it's a little easier to get an EX, and there are three, well, technically three, and the limited on the banner. The limited are a little rarer, I believe, or they're basically the same as the EXs currently, but then the burst weapons are exceptionally rare unless you are doing multi draws. So on a ticket, I believe the rate of an EX is like 0.1% chance of getting a burst weapon.
0.3%? I'm not sure.
0.3% or 0.1%. It's very hard to get a burst weapon on tickets. It's 1 in 1,000 tickets. But I believe it's 3% on a multi draw, on an 11 draw. So, yeah. So there you go.
One thing that knowledge of it being on 3 banners in a row for a 2 week span means is that you can decide, okay, am I interested in the current banner it's on, or do I want to wait and see if another banner that's more appealing to me shows up with this burst weapon available? That way you're not throwing resources at multiple banners stupidly.
But the LD's usually only on one of the banners, so I don't know. I feel like you should just do the if you're planning to pity, to be ready to pity on the banner with the LD release.
That's true
That's a good
too.
point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the pity is higher for burst weapons. We had talked about this on one of our previous shows. It is 500 G tokens to pity a burst weapon. That means 125,000 gems. So more gems than a normal EX. And so yeah, if you want the LD and the burst or BT weapon on the banner and you pull 125,000 and don't get either, you might end up spending 200,000 to get both of those weapons. Which for Squall's sake you're definitely going to want because he's probably on the weaker end of the bursts. So you want his LD and his burst, definitely.
It also I think I mentioned this already, but just to reemphasize, reworks for characters that are already mostly at the EX Plus era, like Squall was, are getting their boosts baked into LD weapons rather than getting just a separate rework. So we're not going to be getting cases where character base kits get a lot better, but then they also get this other benefit of the EX weapon on top, sort of thing. Now you'll need that LD weapon if you want them to actually have their full efficient kits.
Yeah, Zyros is also saying don't forget to use your EX tokens. We didn't say that on the show. That's important. Use your EX tokens. Yeah, so it seems so. Mino, what would you say is the general feel of Japanese players? Or hey, you're everybody on Twitch. what all
Yeah,
you?
let's hear from everyone.
What do you?
So
what
I
do
mean,
what do
I
you think about
I
it?
keep hearing so I was hanging out in the other servers, especially main cord. It seemed like the GL players were excited, the JP players were miserable. But then I said that in our Discord, and Wadabu is all like, "Oh, but from my servers, it seems like the JP players are happy and the GL players are upset." So I don't know, we'll fucking figure it out.
Let's
I
do
mean, main court's the biggest community, so I'm going off of that.
let's
That's
do
where
a
all I
poll.
sent Wadabu there, and Wadabu's like, "Oh, that's just GL JP players or something." And I was like, "I don't know where you're looking. I don't know where anyone's looking, but communities aside." I've seen more negativity than positivity because well, people are upset that you got to pull for two weapons now potentially, and the knee jerk reaction, and there's always these huge knee jerk reactions, is that oh man, burst looks so OP. And well, first, so they demonstrated burst in a video on the stream, and Squall did like 600k. So people were like, "Oh, burst is a joke. You can skip that." There's characters who do 600k without having to do like 5 skills in a row. Like that's garbage. And then another video came out later that day and showed Squall doing 1.2 million because apparently the first video had no artifacts, no passives, no boards. And of course, you cook them all up. Oh, all of a sudden, that's a big amount of damage. And then I'll get to Squall later, but the point is like people keep making these knee-jerk reactions on these videos with no context. Guys, stop. Character trailers, please don't judge a character on character trailers. I've seen JP players say, "Oh, Cater's rework looks like crap because of the 30 seconds I saw of the character trailer they posted on Twitter." Like, are you serious? Come on. And then, that happened, and then same thing happened with Squall now, and there's a lot of debate to how good Squall is right now. We'll
Uh,
get to that.
your
Go ahead.
highness on Twitch is saying that they've seen 1.7 million damage during Squall's
Right.
burst.
Yeah, so
These are available in Japan. So these banners are live in Japan. So these weapons are out and you will be seeing people using them.
I think a lot of people still, this is where we're approaching year 3 in DFFOO soon, and a lot of people still don't understand that there's a big difference between a fully invested character and not. I mean, this week on the Reddit, people were all like, Oh no, I've seen newbies boot up JP very recently, and they're like, I don't understand. I have the meta characters. Why can't I do chaos? And people were like, well, do you have your summon boards done? Do you have your character boards done? Did you farm your artifacts? You got your spheres. You have all weapons MLB, and we're talking all of them, including the World of Illusion ones and the mannequin ones and stuff like that. And then they'll say, no, I don't have any of that done. And they're like, well, why do you think you're gonna, like compete in chaos? Like I think people really underestimate. And this goes back to the burst LD weapon too. I was talking to some JP players yesterday too. They're like, oh, LDs don't seem that strong. Like, obviously, right now you need an EX more than you need an LD because they're like, oh, take Squall's LD, for example. You get 3 uses. It's a really strong skill, but it's just 3 uses. But EX is like reusable over and over. And they let you start the fight with certain buffs up, and they give you unique buffs and stuff. So I don't know why people are saying LD is the next um, thing to pull for, the next power creep. Like, if anything, it seems like a step back. And I'm like, ah. So, like, on the stream, they said they're waiting till February to release the new difficulty because they want more characters to have LD before they launch in the new category.
Yeah.
So, new difficulty. So, for some reason, a lot of people don't understand that if you played FFRK, they had like what are the weapon tier that came that had the really fast limit breaks? Mark,
There
help
were
me
a
out
lot
here.
of limit breaks in Record Keeper. Oh my
No,
god.
but there was like a category of really fast ones. Mark, you know what I mean?
Really,
Like the
really
limit break,
fast.
like Flash,
OSPs.
the,
Wait,
the
wait.
Flash ones.
Are we
Oh,
talking
the
the ones that take like 1 bar or
yeah,
Yeah,
something?
the one that take
You
one
can only
bar.
use 3
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
yeah.
What
Name
So
of
I'm saying like
glimmer or something stupid like that. Yeah,
glint. Thank you. Everyone in chat is saying glint. So
Yep.
FFRK had the same thing where they had
Glint.
like soul breaks. That's what they call their like EXs basically, and they had like over soul breaks, and they kept scaling up. And
Burst.
then
Yep.
ones that like burst that
Well,
enter
yeah.
this burst mode, they had this exact same mechanic in FFRK.
Yeah, very
They had-
Record
similar.
Keeper had a much faster power creep and a lot more tiers.
Yes.
And
Right,
the
but
thing was, characters could have like multiple soul breaks of different tiers, especially for the popular units like Cloud and Lightning. They would have like 5 just basic soul breaks, 3 super soul breaks, and 2 burst soul breaks at the time I left the game.
Right. And so the point is like FFRK did this exact same thing where it wasn't a linear scale up. They did like they released glints and people were like with that attitude they're like why would you even get glints? They're not the same as like over soul breaks or arcane soul breaks or chain soul breaks. God, that game has too many weapons. But yeah, they're like why get glints? And then later on what would you know, glints were factored into being part of the entire kit. And that's how LD looks right now. We only have one LD to look at, but Squall's LD from JP players I know who have him fully invested. Perfect arts, all character boards, all summon boards, all weapons maxed, including World of Illusion and Mannequin. They say that his LD blasting zone, right? No, rough divide. His LD rough divide is hitting as hard as his EX pluses. So that's like 3 on-demand skills that are hitting as hard as his EX plus. Of course, people are going to say, well, EX plus is rechargeable, so it could be longer runs or longer. But first of all, that greatly boosts Squall's damage. And then this is why Burst is so cleverly designed, because I was telling them that DFFOO is a game that wants you to have all weapons. You can't just be like, I'm pulling for the strongest weapon, forget the rest, because I think you can kind of do that in FFRK, right? You just get the biggest.
You only need the strongest power creep, and honestly, with like, I don't know, there were like double the number of characters at the time I left. There's probably 300 or 400 characters now. It's impossible to actually gear up a specific character. Not to mention every soul break requires the same resource.
Yeah, when I checked like 6 months ago, they didn't have pity either. So, the point is like, I think some people think that in some gotchas you just need to get the newest wave of power creep. DFFOO is built on having everything. That's why I'm like, Burst is so smart from a marketing design. Like I love I love watching capitalist designs. I had this whole speech on EX Plus, but we didn't get to it, and I don't care anymore. But for do you guys know that show Mass Singer? That's just brilliant capitalism at work. Like holy shit. But anyways, Burst is brilliant capitalism at work because it will fail in power if you're missing any of the weapons. So like it's built to incorporate all the weapons. You get 5 skills to use. Ideally, for most characters, that's skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, which is the LD, an AA, and the EX. So you want all weapons. There are going to be some exceptions out there. Some characters have great HP plus plus pluses or whatever that you can use instead of the abilities. But it is designed universally to be skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, AA, EX. So you use all 5 of those abilities for the burst. If you are missing any of them, you are missing a huge chunk of power, period. And then the way they design Squall, too, is after his burst is done, everyone on the team has increased splash damage. I don't know how much. I want to say it's like 30%. People said it's basically Sherlotta aura for 16 turns. Once he pops the burst, every one of the team's splash damage raises by like 30% splash or something. And Squall himself has his HP plus plus as splash, his Renzo as splash, and then now his LD is also a big splash, 180% overflow, and I forget the splash percentage, but see, like everything synergizes into each other. If you want to see the true potential of a character, you need every single one of their fucking weapons. So like it's kind of brilliantly built like that. So there's a lot of people questioning, are LDs really a quote unquote next tier of power creep? Yeah, I guarantee you they're gonna be. They're not saying for no fucking reason that they're waiting on the difficulty till more people get their LD weapons. They're clearly planning big balance changes on these LD weapons. Ultimisha and Garland are 9-month-old characters, and they're coming back with no reworks just because they're getting their LD, And then like people are already saying for Squall's LD, the stat boosts are huge. They're like enormous. They're like EX plus level stat boosts on passives, rework level like stat boosts. So because for those who don't know, when you MLB the LD and equip the passive, not only do you get that move, but you get giant stat boosts as well. So I really think LD is going to be the mandatory thing. Burst, they're doling out at 1 every 2 weeks for protagonists and antagonists. People are interpreting that differently. My opinion, every time they say main protagonists only, they're talking about FF Pro Tags 1 through 15. People are like, oh, well, Ramza and Ace and stuff. I'm like, every time they do this, they hit 1 to 15 first.
Yep.
So EX shop, the very first EX shop, 1 to 15 first. And then the very first character boards, 1 to 15 first.
Yeah,
none of this extra crap.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking for Zax, Vincent, Yuna, Leo.
Yeah, or like Lails. Yeah, like people were like, oh, Ace and Ramza. They're like, guys, come on. They said main pro tags. They had to expand the definition when the second EX shot by saying main pro tags and pro tags of spin-offs. Like my money is it's the 15 heroes, 15 villains. Period.
But
go ahead.
In NT, they have Ramza and Ace represented, so they would be the most
as DLC though, not on game launch. They came after.
I didn't realize that. But I don't know. I almost feel like those two might make it eventually. But if they don't,
eventually, sure, but not part of this initial batch that they're talking about.
What is Ramza going to do in his burst? I mean, again, those characters are not. You're not going to have burst for characters that are like what's Y'shtola going to do for her burst? It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of actions. I mean, Y'shtola is one that will have it, but what are they going to? What's that burst going to look like? Because they're not DPS characters.
We only have Squall so far, and we don't know if they're going to give them other moves to use instead while they're in burst mode. That just seems like the more likely thing to happen.
I just want to do 6 stones in a row.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's where the LD comes in.
Well, right.
To really power it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure all the LDs are going to be big, fat hits.
And do all the bursts have to do... Couldn't they do something like Yuna and they just completely change the kit while in burst mode for those 6 turns? I mean, that could happen too.
I feel like if they were going to go with that, they would have mentioned that on stream, but all they said on stream is burst mode lets you use all of your abilities once, and that's it. Like they didn't hint at could possibly change abilities or anything like that. I mean, maybe I don't know.
But maybe they're not doing that this first month. You see, I mean, like it's Van and Squall. They could easily do that, the same thing where they just use all their skills. But they didn't mention that because, again, it hasn't happened yet. I don't know. I don't think, especially with Ishtola being one of the main 15, you're gonna have to do something because that is gonna be really weird to time everything and make it really work.
I mean, is it so bad? Because like it's like in the burst, even if you're not attacking with every ability, I mean, I wouldn't mind throwing one of the um, turns to Medica. Sure, like while I'm doing all this damage in one turn, I'm also raising everyone's, battering everyone. Why not? Hell, they could put an HP dump on it. I mean, a brave dump on it. I think they have already, right? Like everything's still a brave dump. Like it's still 5 HP attacks.
She does not brave dump on Medica, even with the EX plus.
Yeah, they could give that to her easy. Like that's an easy fix.
Hmm.
Oh, they're asking how do launches work in burst?
We don't know.
No, you get a full launch every time. You do a launch and burst, and you get a full follow up by your entire team every time. So characters who can launch a lot. Actually, there aren't any for the main characters. Zidane, I get no, not really.
Well, yeah, Zidane would be
Noctis
able
can
to
trigger launches, but
Oh yeah,
can't
he
do them
could.
consistently.
He could potentially get 2 launches in 4 turns. I mean 5 turns,
Cloud.
right? Oh yeah, Cloud can just like launch back to back to back to back.
Oh, they're confirming Dark Knight Cecil 2 is another big one.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
So I mean, we're gonna see another burst in 2 weeks, so we'll see. I mean, I wish they changed movesets like they did in FFRK, but it looks like if they're gonna do that, it's tied to like EX or whatever crap they're going with right now. We'll see what happens. LDs are a whole like level of possibility. Like LDs are they're called limited because they're supposed to have very small number of uses. So I would not be surprised if some LDs changed movesets. Just be like, hey, after you use the LD skill, you get like 3 turns of a new moveset. And then if you want to use it again, it's like little mini Valifor summons, basically.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, at some point it's been, I mean, about a year, right, between weapons. Well, even more than that because EX Plus is not a different type of weapon; it's the same type of weapon. So, so a year and a half, what 2 years between weapon types? That's amazing in a gotcha game. So, I mean, we've already talked about FFRK where you've had, I mean, even if you go onto my FFRK account, Cloud and Bart's probably have 12 weapons each, and I haven't played for a year and a half. I mean, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to have 2 weapons at once, especially when one is kind of, I mean, in one sense, the limited weapons are kind of like World of Illusion weapons. Yes, they're EX tier, but they're they're secondary weapons. They're not main weapons. They're adding to an existing kit. Zyro says, "What's your thoughts on subscriptions?" So there's a new subscription package in Japan, which will give you several things, including tokens or MOG medals that you can exchange for burst weapon tokens, and you'll be able to use 50 burst weapon tokens to get a burst weapon in the burst weapon shop. So you can basically, over the course of several months, use your tokens to get a burst weapon if you pay for it, and it might be $50-$60 US.
The other big benefit of the subscriptions is that it's a time saver, a huge time saver.
So the subscriptions also increase the amount of points you get while you're doing summon boards, correct? Is that how that works?
You increase the number of summon board points you get, character board points you get. So, and I think it's also experience and guild rewards. I'm not 100% sure.
It's just summon boards and character boards. That's it. I mean, so there were a lot of cries about that being pay to win as well, but honestly, I'd fucking pay to speed up that grind. Let's be honest, summon boards and character boards are there just to buy time as filler. Like, if there's anything to pay to speed up, that's gotta be it. There's nothing else worth really paying to speed up, right?
No, right? I mean, we're going to run out of costumes at some point, so I'm always looking for something to invest in the game, and that kind of subscription model I've been a fan of since the beginning. So
Yeah, and I just don't think it's that big of an advantage. So what is it? So it's $6 roughly for 600 gems and 30 days of like 150% boost to summon points and to like wild points and like double the amount of character points you can gain. And so I mean, that's basically free, right? Gems are 100 to $1. So $6 for 600 gems and then 30 days of super boosted farming. That's a no-brainer. I could do $6 a month easy. That's cheap as hell. Honestly, most gotchas are way more expensive than $6 a month. And then if you want to do premium, that's about $45 a month. You get all of that, plus you get what is it? You get 10 burst tokens and 5 EX tokens. 5 EX tokens, you need 10 to get any EX you want. So every month you're getting half an EX weapon and 1/5 of a burst weapon. And people are like, that's so pay to win. But honestly, I don't, that's not, you'd have to pay what? That's $90 for an EX weapon of your choice. And then times 5 is, God, help me out here, Crease. What's 45 times 5? 225?
No,
Help me
maybe.
out here. 235?
Sorry, I'm not paying too much attention, so I'm not doing math in my head right now.
It's okay. It's like a lot of money, guys, to get a
Well,
burst weapon, and you have to wait 5 months. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to stress a lot of these gacha games nowadays have like a simple subscription fee type thing for a lot of bonuses. And I play Landgrister Mobile, and I feel like the $10 I pay for that sub for the easy crystals and the extra experience and everything is very much worth it. If you really like the game, it's like a coffee, man. Like $5 is like a coffee. Just give up your coffee for a day and give it to this game so you can just play it with like more ease. Honestly, that's just my opinion, though.
No, I mean I understand if people don't want to pay, but I'm saying like saying it's pay to win is a I have to hear another side of it. And I'm sure like Macnell and Quetz would have good perspectives on this, but I've always said I don't believe PvE games can be pay to win. If this was PvP and you literally could not compete unless you paid money, you couldn't beat the other whales like Fire Emblem Heroes or something that has like a minimal PvP scene and whales are just on top. And that's pay to win. But if other people are buying weapons and it doesn't affect your gameplay at all, how is that pay to win? Because you do you, no one else's money, either they're free to play or they spend like $1,000 a month. It doesn't affect your gameplay at all. So why are people complaining about pay to win? That's what I really want to know. There's DFFOO in its 2.5 year run has shown zero signs of ever like needing you to pay to complete all content. Oh, and but then we have the burst challenge that's introduced. We need to talk about that as well.
Burst challenge?
So every event now, once you beat the chaos, there's a burst challenge. You have to do it with full synergy to get a burst token.
yes,
So 6 a month. So there are 6 free burst tokens a month that you have to do. It's a chaos level fight that you need full synergy for. And it's rough because most events only have 4 synergy characters. Hell, LCs have what, 3? No, LCs have
The big
4 now, right?
problem with the boosted is that you run the risk of running into potential team makeups that just cannot complete chaos on their own because they're missing something or they don't synergize well. A lot of the older setups for boosted, and it's going to come up when it hits lost chapter stages, is that it's going to be a problem. Also, we're stepping back. Macnell wants to point out something. That relative prices are not the same across the world. While $6 is not much for us, in where he lives, it's a full lunch for two people. So
I agree.
it's a problem if you're not in areas where the dollar is worth less, I guess is the better way to put it.
Right, I agree. Arola, you need to check your privilege.
Okay, let's. You're in a country.
We're never
where
playing Monster Prom.
dollars is not a gazillion dollars, then maybe you should think about it then.
I'm catching up on chat. Zyro says, I'll say that mobile games are looking to be the next generation of MMOs. You take part in a community and spend time waiting for content, blah, blah. And yeah, I agree. You got paid service or whatever, like constant updates. And I agree. MMOs, they say, are a dying breed because very few people nowadays have time to sit in front of a computer for that many hours and just like focus that hard. I think majority, it's like the demographics for MMOs are shrinking like crazy, whereas phone games are
still want that subscription model, and that's
the
reason you see all these DLC packages, and much more popular nowadays are battle pass models.
Yeah. No, I'm saying MMOs specifically is that, but I'm saying like I can see why phone games would take their spot because phone games are so much more accessible to everybody, and you can do it on the go and in short bursts. So I'm saying like while MMOs are dying, phone games are filling that niche that they filled before, which I can totally see. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sending out some invites to co-op if anybody wants to coop.
I'm currently in a co-op. I'll join you after I'm done with this one.
Cool. I just
finished the EX fight, so we'll see if I
Oh.
top scored probably, but
Fancy.
we'll see because sometimes
You'll
they
probably
score really
EX.
high now.
For all of those listening, I did have enough power stones, just enough after my 50,000 gems to, fully limit break all of Lotta's weapons. So, hey, Brian, welcome to the thingy. All right, got a cloud and some call me Brian. Let's do this.
So wait, rewinding while you're doing the co-op. So I said that like I don't think the premium pass is that big of a boost for whales, but as a whale, I think that's a better deal than what we're getting right now. Mark and I buy 2 costumes a month. That's $70 for a 18,000 gems. 18,000 gems.
18,000
that's like 3
gems.
pulls. That's 3 pulls for $70. Holy shit! We should stop buying costumes.
I've actually cut back on costumes in the last couple of months. I'll only buy them if I really think I'm going to use them nowadays.
Yeah, so $45 to go towards guaranteed weapons, and you get gems too. You get about like 4,000 gems as well. That's a much better deal. I'm sure they're going to still release costumes on the side too because they want that money. And I don't know if I'll stop buying them then, but I would gladly switch to that $45 a month model for the improved farming because I hate fucking farming. That's like built for me. Holy shit. Like that's like triple farming rates. People were saying, because this month they gave all players a free pass to try it out. And people are saying it takes me 3 kills of a summon to finish the summon board. And yeah, dude, I'm down for that. Right now it takes so many fucking kills. Like, are you kidding me? Oh, not only is it 3 kills to fill a summon board, but then you get all those like stored points you can use on another person too. So, oof. I think someone said they finished their like Alexander farm in like an afternoon. So yeah, I'd fucking pay for that. $6, hell yeah.
Yeah, I think we've never been shy about saying that we definitely fall within the whale category if you were to put us in the
70 a
pricing
month is not a
groups.
whale. That's not a whale. We're dolphins at
Yeah,
best.
We're
your whales
dolphins
like
at
are
best.
hundreds of dollars.
Yeah,
Fucking
whales are
crazy.
like pay until you get everything. You look up on this on Reddit what whales spend. Several people spend thousands a month. I remember
Okay, so we're dolphins. Sorry.
yeah, I remember an early DFFOO whale said that like in the first year he said he loved DFFOO because he only had to spend $7,000 in a year to get every weapon MLB, and he said that's way cheaper than other gotchas he's played where he spent a lot more. And I forgot Dekrith spent something crazy to get Noctis EX too, like something ridiculous. But like, no, people underestimate that. Like, I think they make all their gotchas make all their money on like a small percentage of whales. And so people are like, well, I'm free to play and I don't like how greedy they're getting, so I'm going to leave. Well, I don't think you're hurting their business, to be honest. I think the whales are going to whale. In fact, if anything, things are better than ever for whales. Like I said, this $45 pack gets you all these tokens and stuff as well, like for guaranteed stuff. They're going to spend more than ever. They're giving better deal. Oh, pay for ingots. Whales will happily do that. $20 for um, it's how much was it? I forget the package deal, but it was like $20 for a bunch of gems, ingots, and enough to LB an armor and a weapon or something.
Erolai, come play with us. Send you an invite.
Sure, I accidentally thought I was doing
Oh,
the. Okay, so
boo.
this EX fight requires like 420,000 for everything. I did not get 420,000. I did not read that score amount. And yeah, let me get out of this so I can join you guys for co-op.
Yeah, please.
Who are you gonna bring?
Leon probably or Rydia.
Does
Which
it-
ones do you guys want?
I'll bring Rydia.
Does it matter? Because this is not a difficult co-op.
No, it's not going to
You
be.
do
It's
not
going to
need
get
to.
trapped by 3 of the 4 characters.
Let me address a bunch of chat stuff. Pearson996 says, I can afford to spend money on this game, but I refuse to. I would rather buy a one-time game for 50 to 60 bucks. I'm not a fan of this monthly payment, nor or pay to continue playing models. Ideally, legislation will get rid of this current model. Pearson, I hear you, but there's a lot of things people don't consider because this model has been around a long time in the form of MMORPGs. EverQuest and Ultima Online are like, what, 20, 30 years old now?
Yep.
Like, there's a reason
Oh crap! I
they
pushed the wrong
actually
button.
there's a reason they actually ask for subscriptions. For one-time games, once they're done working on the game, they push it out and that's it. They go on to the next game. Nowadays, gaming has changed where things like DFFOO, like this could be a 5-hour game. No, when it dropped with 5 chapters, how fast does it get past that? Like, you could pay like $40 to play the first 5 chapters of this game. But games as a service is where the gaming industry is headed. Because first of all, if you'll notice, games have never gone over $60. SNES and NES games, Atari games, they sold for $60. Imagine how much effort and time went into making one of those. And I can tell you right now, less than a year for sure. And like they had staffs of like 10 people. Now you have like a AAA game like Modern Warfare, I don't know, big AAA games, they take staffs of hundreds of people working 3 to 4 years. FF15 took 10 years to develop. So did Kingdom Hearts 3, with hundreds of people on their team and several companies teaming up. And they're still selling these games for $60. Do you think they're making a profit on that? They're not. That's why they make DLC now. They do continued service because releasing a game is just unfeasible now. Like gaming industry is blown up. It's kind of like the movie industry where the expectations just keep getting higher and higher because next generation, blah blah blah, and they can't break the cap of $60. So companies actually lose money on every base game they sell, and that's why people are like, why is there DLC now when there never used to be? It's because they need DLC to actually make their profits back now. The base game, let's say the base game is developing a console. The DLC are the games. So like they develop the game, they sell it to you at a loss for $60, and it's like the program that they're using, like the console, and then the DLC is like the content that they can just they laid down the groundwork so they can just put out the DLC now to make their money back. That's how the gaming industry works. Even that is getting really tough because games with DLC only have 1 to 2 years of DLC support, and then they need to start making a new game, laying new groundwork. MMOs and mobile games and games as service, League of Legends, Fortnite, all of these games that are doing super well, their continued service, because not only is it not, they can't just finish the game and ship it out, but they hire people to work full time monitoring the servers, coming out with new content, balance patches. Like, these are full time jobs for everybody. And that's why the subscription exists. When you're paying $15 a month to play an MMO, you're paying them because they're updating and developing new content every month, as well as paying server costs, as well as paying engineers to make sure everything's up and running all the time. So you can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy a one and done game" anymore. That's just not how the world works anymore.
And now
And
I'm going to step in and give the other opinion.
okay,
The game industry dug itself into this corner by going for so much fidelity, so much budget, so much marketing, especially. A lot of the game budget does not go to the developers and the development of these games in many cases. It is put towards the marketing of these games to make sure that they sell a lot. There is way more money put into these games than necessarily has to be. And you hear about these cases where these games come out that don't have these extensive budgets and they sell fine and the people make a profit. The problem is that there's these bigger companies that feel that they can sell these games and make billions and billions of dollars. And they have to make billions and billions of dollars. If they don't make billions and billions of dollars, then it's not worth doing it. But they don't understand that the investment is not always worth the cost, and sometimes it is more appealing to the consumer to sell something that is a one-time deal rather than a game that they have to invest into for 2 years. You said that the companies have to spend 2 years on a product to make back their investment. A lot of people still are not in the mode where they want to spend 2 years on a single game in an era where more games come out per week than you can feasibly play in your lifetime, and expect to stay with it for the next 2 years of your life. It's ridiculous. I mean, there are games that come out and I'm like, I want to enjoy these and I want to have fun, but I also want to be able to move on to the next thing in a week or two. I don't want to have to spend a month, or I don't even want to spend 2 months on a single game in many cases. There are exceptions to that. I
yeah,
still play an MMO.
tell that to all the people saying dead game every week playing DFFOO.
I disagree with the dead game meme.
I know.
Just to be clear,
Like, it's like, guys, there's like millions of games out there you'll never play in a lifetime. You don't have to get it all from the one game.
I'd also like to point out that you called attention to FF15 when that game was practically scrapped all of its development about 5-6 years into development and started from scratch again.
Yeah,
So
fuck that game.
it had a 10-year development period, but a lot of that was wasted time that they just decided they had to salvage somehow. Keep in mind, Final Fantasy XIV had a troubled development history where it started as a garbage MMO that was running on the Crystallis engine, an in-house engine that was just awful, poorly tuned, poorly optimized, and no one could run well, even with a high engine or a high tier computer. And they basically had to redo everything to get the game into a state that people could actually enjoy outside of a very niche audience. That was 5 years of development, I think, down the drain, just thrown away, that they had to basically scrap and just work with assets to rebuild from scratch over 3 years. So there's a lot of inefficiency in the industry. There's a lot of poor decisions made in the industry that bloat budgets that do not have to be as bloated as they are. And that is the reason games are so expensive. Not because they have to pay the developers. If you look at developer budgets, only a small fraction of money goes to the developers in question. And that's despite the fact that they're the ones busting their asses in the whole process.
Yeah, and another thing we got to point out is there's a lot of disappointment in how developers have been treated in recent years. This has been coming out quite a bit about the long hours and what feels like very little pay for said long hours. And there's other issues of treatment in the workplace that have come up as well. I'm sure everybody's read at least one article about this since like the 2000s. It's been a problem. So it's only gotten
I
worse.
suggest that if you want to see one of the worst examples of this possible, go to Kotaku.com, search what is it? That BioWare game that came out this year that can't even remember the name of. That's how garbage it
Anthem.
was. Search Anthem, and you will find an amazing article by Jason Schreier on that site that basically talks about the horrible situation that the developers were under, the troubled history of it, and how it came to be as awful as it was.
Oh, let's not talk like we aren't even do they touch in that article about how the game industry churns out it's programmers basically?
There's a lot of talk about developer attrition in there. It's not sent to the same degree as how they basically just churn them out and get new ones, more to the degree that in the Bioware environment, basically it got so bad that they had a term for it. I think it was called developer casualties, where people worked themselves to a breaking point and then had to take months long breaks before they could return to work. Months long paid break because they wore themselves down to oblivion mentally and physically. Just consider that for a moment. What other industry is it acceptable where the people working in it, it's considered acceptable that the workers have to take months long breaks to recover from these situations?
The movie industry.
I mean, it's just something like I know there's been a lot of talk about like they want to some want to unionize, but I know unions kind of have a very like controversial status in the USA.
Unions have been very toxic since what, the late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah, and this is mainly a USA thing. So for those of you who are like foreign or abroad, I don't know if the game industry is different there, but it's gotten pretty bad over in the USA and it's pretty well documented at this point. I'm honestly surprised nothing has been done to address it in the states or even at the local level or anything.
The problem is that we're still in an era where unionization is considered a faux pas or a negative thing, and that hasn't changed yet. We're not in the era where unionization was considered necessary to combat the corporations like it was in the early 20th century. We're currently in an era, a post-capitalist era, I guess is the best way to put it, or a capitalist era, where the corporations have a lot of the power, and that's been considered a good thing for a long time.
Yes, indeed.
Also, Sherlotta can burst crazy amounts of damage.
She can. Well, yeah. Well, let's do one more co-op. Arola, you up for another co-op?
I actually just started the Cosmos battle,
Oh, okay.
and
Good luck.
I'm
Tell
doing
us.
yeah
Who are
yeah.
you using?
I decided to do two of the synergy characters because I have them, Rydia and Leon, and I got
Nice.
Lena for the third just to clear it. But usually, after I beat it, I think about something more creative.
Well, I'm sending free invites. So anybody who's on my friends list, we'll do one more, and then I gotta get to bed. I gotta get my boys up in the morning and get ready. And hey, we'll raid. Yeah, Broadway's on, so we'll raid Broadway here in a few minutes. This has been the TCC After Hours. Welcome to the After Hours show,
Where we go into more serious topics
where
and
we
argue with
where
each
we
other.
talk about politics, the gaming industry, and Japanese version of the game, TCC After Hours, where Mino gets his ass out of bed, so he can come talk.
You guys had a short ass episode today. I think you guys are talking about there's a
Yeah,
lot
sure.
to talk about.
No,
You guys could have
we
went.
said gets his ass
Honestly,
out of bed, so he can come talk.
You guys had a short ass episode. What the hell? That was that was the shortest episode. That's shorter than the weeks we called dead.
No, it was not that.
that's
short.
because you were not there.
I know.
Yeah.
Like what the, you guys dive into a lot more.
Well, the thing is, I didn't feel comfortable talking too deep into Sherlotta until we actually had hands on her. So I gave some details on pros, cons, that sort of stuff, details about her kit. But I think we want to touch on her at least a tiny bit next week. And we touched on Leon pretty heavily, and we touched on the stream, but a lot of those contents from the stream are for next week. They aren't live yet.
We'll have plenty to talk about. And when a character launches on, this is the only time this month that a character is launching during the show, then it distracts people anyway. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's okay. I was not.
Do we have the schedule? What are we having by next week's show?
The calendar is live. The only thing we'll have next week is the Awakening
Is
Wave.
the Awakening. Well, join us
but
for
we'll also
that.
have all the maintenance and all the quality of life changes coming too.
Are we getting the EX pluses by then?
Yeah, we'll have EX Plus next week. We'll have the first Chaos event next week.
Join us for that. And I thank you all, and we'll try to get this as a special thing. But let's raid Broadway. Let me see where my thing is here. Different thing here. What is the Broadway saying? All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for the show and the post show. We'll see you next week. Stick around and hang out with Broadway, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.